I'd like to call the Macomb City Council Committee the whole to order, please. If the clerk would call the roll.
Mike Wayland.
Here.
John Vegezzi.
Here.
Don Wynn.
Here.
Tom Cook.
Present.
Ashley Katz.
Here.
Tammy Lee Brown Edwards. Dennis Moon.
Here.
6 present.
We have a quorum. We'd entertain a motion to allow remote participation by Alderman Brown Edwards.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to allow the remote participation of Alderman Brown. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Wayland.
Aye.
Vegezzi.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Katz.
Aye.
Moon.
Aye.
All ayes.
Motion carried. Thank you. And Alderman Brown Edwards is on board with us in just a second.
Tammy Lee.
Alderman Brown Edwards, are you on?
Yes,
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us tonight.
thank you.
Alrighty, citizens wishing to address the city council on matters germane to the agenda of the meeting will be limited to 3 minutes under public comments and are asked to be brief and concise in making their remarks. Comments submitted by mail or email will not be read aloud, but a copy will be provided to each member of the council and made a part of the minutes. Does anyone wish to speak to the council under the public comments section of tonight's agenda? Hearing none, if you'll allow me, council, I'll approach the podium. Council, we're being joined by some very substantial students here from Macomb Senior High School. We're going to take a few minutes and recognize them for some outstanding work. And as they assemble behind me here, Miss Rickelman, can you join us up here as well? So, council, we have the pleasure of having all of these outstanding scholars with us from Macomb Senior High School today. And it's our intention to recognize them for their outstanding efforts in a national competition that they competed in. For right now, I'd like to turn it over to their coach, Miss Sue Ellen Rickelman. Miss Rickelman, could you give us an overview of what transpired, and then we have some recognition we'd like to impart.
So this year we went to a national convention or national competition called NAQT, and it was a small school division. Normally we go to Chicago for that, and then later in the spring we would go to Atlanta for a large school competition, but this year we're not doing that. And they practiced at school and competed on Friday, or Saturday and Sunday, sorry. And they ended up placing second out of all the teams. So they did really, really well. And Stan was one of the top players, the number 2 player. Henry was number 22. Yeah, 22. So they both did really well out of a lot of players. And they're just really smart, good kids. And I will miss my seniors. So, do you want me to? Please. Okay. All right, so starting on the far right, that's Brooke Baker. She's a junior. Next to Brooke is Georgiana Green. She's a junior. Next to Georgiana is Sanjana Babu, sadly a senior. Henry Jones is a junior. Stan McCombs is a senior. And Sumner Roberts is a senior.
So I don't know that Mrs. Rickelman drove this home enough. They were second in the country in their division. So can we give them a big round of applause? Oh, yeah. So students, I have the pleasure of issuing certificates of recognition presented to each one of you on behalf of a very proud city of Macomb. In recognition of Macomb High School Scholastic Bowl team's second place finish and the Scholastic Bowl Small School Competition Tournament out of 40 qualifying teams from across the country. So the first recognition is to Captain Stan Melkumian. Stan. Next, we have Sanjana Babu. Brooke Baker. Georgiana Green. Henry Jones. And Sumner Roberts. Stan, as the captain, is there any important wisdom you'd like to share with the group about how you guys succeeded in this championship so well? Come on up here. Come on up here.
So just 4 years of just consistency and showing up and doing a lot of work outside of school on top of other activities and sports. That's what made this possible. And of course, the coach and the parents helped a lot. We thank them a lot for that. And for funding, of course. Given this year we didn't have our Rotary tournament, we were very thankful that we didn't have to pay that much to do this. So yeah, thank you very much.
Stan brought up a good point with funding. Our organization, in terms of going to national competitions, where registrations are like $655 each, and then if we would travel, we would have all those expenses too. It's entirely self-funded by our Scholastic Bowl team. The students had to pay towards this. And in the past, like Stan said, we would have tournaments that would help us raise money for that. But I just want to specify that this is really self-funded. And also, thank you, Mayor Inman, for honoring our team because they did a good job.
But you know, like any good team, it's only so good without a good coach. So, Coach Sue Ellen Rickelman, we have a certificate of recognition for you as well. Can you tell us a little bit how many years you've been doing this, Sue Ellen?
Since the Stone Age is 1995.
Well, again, we're so very, very proud of you, and we're going to give you an opportunity. We have some very proud parents in here, too, and we'd be honored if we could get a photograph with you before we go. So once again, thank you.
Smile.
All righty, we'd like to give the parents that are here supporting them a round of applause. We know without parental support, students can only be so good, so thank you. We have limited seating. You may stay if you can find a seat for the balance of the council meeting, but otherwise, we appreciate you being with us tonight. And thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, move on to item number 2 on tonight's agenda, discussion on the bids received for the brick repair at the entrance arches and office building at Oakwood Cemetery. There's a memorandum in your packet from Gary Woods, the city sexton at Oakwood. And Gary, could you come up and go over that for us, please?
Through inspection on our pillars at the two entrances into Oakwood. The one on Lafayette Street is in very poor shape. Time to be retuck pointed, needs some serious attention. And then the one off of Randolph Street, it's in much better shape, but it's starting to get some cracks and some deterioration, so decided it was time to have them both done. And through the inspection, when we had a contractor there, kind of noticed some cracks and settlement in the office at the cemetery. And through those inspections, we noticed some of the lintels above the basement windows are basically rotted out. They're made out of steel and they're rusted. I don't know if they've ever been replaced. The building was built, I think, around 1919, 1920. I don't know if they're original or not, before my time. So with that, we thought it'd be better to run both projects together at the same time. Thought we'd get better bids and quotes through the contractors. So we had a bid opening on last Wednesday, and I'm assuming they had the bid package. Show that. Pardon me? Okay. So kind of my recommendation would be to go with Autobomb. I believe they're out of Morton, Illinois. They had the low bid. I've done a little research on them. I think they're a very quality company. I don't think there'd be any issue with that.
Any questions for Gary? So we actually received two bids. One was for $34,370 from Autobahn. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would you mind going over that just a little bit for us, Gary?
Okay, the
That
bid was kind of broke down into two sections. The first one was for the pillars on Lafayette Street and Randolph Street. The pillars and the wing walls on Lafayette Street would be a complete grind of up to at least 1 inch deep, be retuck pointed, and then be pressure washed when they're finished. And then they'll be sprayed with a coat of salt guard and saturation to keep the moisture and the water out. I think that's a big part of the problem where we're at now, is the salt got in there and caused the damage. And then once the water gets in there, then it freezes in winter, expands and breaks the mortar joints out and just causes more damage. And that bid, I think, for that section was $25,770. Then the ultimate bid was for the tuck pointing at the office, and that is to grind out about 150 square feet of cracked mortar joints, which was, the majority of that is caused from the lintels above the basement windows. It's kind of a steel beam, if you will, that it's a shelf that holds up the bricks above the windows. The contractor proposed that they would take out 3 courses of brick above the windows, remove the lintel, put a new steel lintel in, and then relay the bricks, and then they will put, it's kind of like a weep rope where the moisture, if it does get in behind the bricks, then it can weep out through the mortar joints and not cause any freezing or damage that route. And then they will also, we had a place that had some damage, some bricks that had spalled and popped the face of them off. It's right on the northeast corner of the building. They're going to remove, I think there's 5 of those bricks. They propose cutting those out and then relaying those up. And then also they will, around all doors and windows, they will cut out the old caulking and reseal those, so keep the moisture out of those. And then on the north and the east side, where there's pavement, sidewalk, that meets up with the building, they'll dig all that out and seal that up to keep the moisture from entering and going down the basement wall, causing any damage there. And that bid for that was $8,600, and that brings a total from Autobahn to $34,370. And we did have another bid from Western Specialty. I don't believe they broke their bid down. I think they just gave us a total for both sets of brick and wing walls and then the building itself. And their bid come in at $43,650. This was a budgeted item. It'll come out of the cemetery maintenance fund. And we'd budgeted $35,000. So Autobomb's bid did come in under our budgeted amount.
Okay. Any questions for Gary? Alderman Moon?
Do you recall, Gary, when we rebuilt that entrance on Lafayette Street,
It was 2006, I believe.
2006?
Yeah, that was donated time and material
Right.
on that one.
So that lasted about 15 years, with the salt from the highway probably being the main culprit. Okay, thank you.
So these are just the ones on Lafayette Street. We rebuilt,
We rebuilt one on Lafayette Street in 2006, and I'm thinking it was 2-3 years later, we redid the one on Randolph Street. The one on Randolph Street was completely took it down and then relayed it back up because it was in such bad shape. It doesn't get the salt that the highway we get from the Lafayette
the
Street.
spray.
So, yeah. And that was one of the things in this bid, from all the contractors I met, we stressed that we wanted pressure washed after the project was completed, and then a coat of salt guard on that to hopefully slow that deterioration down.
Did you have anything else, Dennis? So just real quick, then if we, is there an annual application that we'd be putting on it
I
after?
talked to the one contractor, and he said probably every 3 to 5 years. So I believe what I'm going to do each spring when the winter season's over, go over and pressure wash the entire structure, try to get the salt and the residue off of it, and, keep a record of it, keep track of it, and like I say, every 3 years, 4 years, do another salt guard on it, so we're not back in this boat so quick.
All right.
Well, I've got to ask the obvious. If you power wash it, will you not dilute the waterproofing on it?
That's something I'd want to check with one of them, brick mason or manufacturer of the salt guard to see. And I wouldn't get in there and just blast the joints real hard. It'd just be more of a kind of a rinse
Right,
to get the salt residue off.
true.
All righty, any other discussions, any other questions for Gary? We'd entertain a motion to put this on the consent agenda for next week's council meeting.
Motion to put it on next week's meeting.
I'm sorry, what was the motion, Alderman Jesse?
To go ahead and place this on for next week's meeting,
I think they asked from staff was to be on the consent agenda.
but to place on a consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to place the item on next Monday's council's consent agenda. Any discussion on that?
Your Honor,
Alderman Brown Edwards.
yes. He mentioned something to happen every 3 to 5 years. Is he saying that it needs to be tuck pointed every 3 to 5 years?
No, it'd be a liquid material sprayed on the mortar to keep the salt out. It's kind of like a sealant, so the road salt won't penetrate into the mortar and weaken it and loosen it. So it's
Excellent.
It'd be kind of like when you pour a new sidewalk or driveway, you seal coat it with, or spray it with a concrete sealant, and that helps keep the
Yes.
salt and the moisture out. So it'd be on very similar lines to that.
Okay, thank you. I just need a clarification that there will not be a $30,000
No,
cost every 3
I don't know
to
what the
5
salt
years.
guard costs. I don't think it'd be much over maybe a few $100s if,
A year,
If
or
that.
one every 2 or 3 years.
yeah. So it'd be a very minor investment every so many years.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All righty, hearing no further discussion, roll call on the, placing it on the consent agenda.
Vajezi,
Aye.
Wynn,
Aye.
Cook. Aye. Katz. Aye. Brown Edwards,
Aye.
Moon,
Aye.
Wayland.
Aye.
All ayes.
Motion carried, thank you. And thank you, Gary. Oh, I know what else. You had updated me on some new improved playground equipment at Chandler Park.
I did. A few weeks back, we had a citizen call in. Fortunately, they called in and brought to our attention that there was some safety issues with the swing sets in Chandler Park. So I went up and investigated it. The metal straps where the chains bolt to or hook to the seats over the years have worn, and they had a sharp edge where someone could cut their leg or their hip. So I addressed that in a temporary fashion. went back and ordered some new swings. This time I went with multicolored ones, so it's bright. It's playground, it should be bright colors. Well, they finally came in, and I got up today and installed those. And as I mentioned to the mayor today, I had 3 very young ladies that were not very patient. They wanted to swing, and so I hurried right along, got them installed, and one was going, thumping her foot, had her hand on her hip. So as I got the one installed, one young lady jumped right on and was enjoying it. Got the other installed, and her little sister come right in and joined it. And the third sister was upset because there was only 2 swings. But it looked like they was enjoying them when I left, so makes it all worthwhile when little ones are having fun.
Thanks for the update, and the story was a good one. So had good supervision today. Right. All right, thank you very much, Gary. All righty, item number 3, discussion on soliciting requests for proposals for local agent for the City of Macomb's Employee Health Benefits Program. There's a memorandum in your packet from the city administrator. Scott, would you come forward and go over that and tell us what we're looking at trying to accomplish here, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, as most of you are aware, we are self-insured at the city for our medical benefits for our employees, medical health benefits. And we have a local agent, which is Danzig here in Macomb, that administers that locally. Their contract is separate from Consociate and Tokyo Marine, and that expires July 1st with Danzig. So for our due diligence, we'd like to proceed with a request for proposal for a local agent. I'm assuming Danzig will apply again, and then any other local agents could apply for this. So I have the request for proposal ready to go out. I just want to get council approval to proceed with that, requesting that approval. So, also, I could say it was presented to General Government Committee on April 20th, and the committee recommended bringing it to council to proceed. So.
Any questions for Scott?
Sir.
Alderman Moon, I'm sorry.
Just to jog my memory, the agent, are they usually connected to the local agencies that sells us or represents the insurance?
Actually, I believe the rules from I don't know if it's the federal government, they are not supposed to be connected directly.
Oh, okay,
No conflict of interest there, so.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it's a different company.
So there's actually 3 parties involved in our
Correct.
healthcare program, or health benefits program.
Yep. And for the most part, for the employees, we deal with Consociate. That's who does all the administrating of, your claims and stuff like that. So Danzig is just our local agent on our benefit to help with that relationship.
Okay. Any questions at all? We would ask for the council's approval to place this on the consent agenda for next Monday's meeting as well.
Move to place this on the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Wynn,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Katz. Aye. Brown Edwards,
Aye.
Moon,
Aye.
Whalen,
Aye.
Vajezi.
Aye.
All ayes.
Motion carried. Thank you. And if you allow me some indulgence here, I'll step to the podium again, council. Alrighty, as we started off the meeting with some recognition tonight for some very dedicated young people, we would like to also take the opportunity to close the meeting this evening and with a proclamation, and I'd ask Chief Jones from the Police Department to please join me up here as we issue this proclamation. Good to see you, sir. Whereas in 1962, President John Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the United States Congress and President Joseph Biden have designated May 15th, 2020 as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week of May 9th through the 15th, 2021 as National Police Week. And whereas the International Association of Chiefs of Police has declared police officer safety and wellness a top priority, and the IACP Center for Officer Safety and Wellness promotes the importance of individual, agency, family, and community safety and wellness awareness. And whereas it is important that citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against the deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the members of the Macomb Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the lives and livelihoods of the citizens of our community, and whereas the Macomb Police Department has grown to be a modern and progressive law enforcement agency which unceasingly provides a vital public service, and whereas citizens of Macomb and the surrounding area are asked to join the city of Macomb in honoring our police officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to our community. Now therefore, I, Michael J. Inman, Mayor of the City of Macomb, Illinois, do hereby proclaim May 9th through the 15th, 2021 as National Police Week, and ask all citizens to join me in expressing appreciation for the members of the Macomb Police Department, both past and present, and to honor those peace officers who, through their courageous deeds, have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of their duty. Chief, we'd be honored if you'd accept this on behalf of your department and share our best wishes with your members and tell them we appreciate what they're doing.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. We wish to say anything at all?
Good evening. Just a few brief words with regards to such a very important week to the law enforcement community. This is a week where we definitely remember the fallen officers. We remember their dedication and their service to law enforcement and to the communities served. In addition to that, the officers who tirelessly work each day to protect our community here in Macomb and everywhere else within our country and even beyond. The hard work of the men and women of our profession shall not go unnoticed, and we must continue to tell their story each day, as they are truly heroes. And definitely the men and women of Macomb Police Department, I can truly speak toward their excellence in police service and the hard work and dedication that they have for the job and for the community each day. So we appreciate this proclamation. It is an honor. It is a privilege to serve you as your newly appointed chief of police and to be able to serve alongside the men and women of the Macomb City Police Department. And with that being said, again, we do not neglect to remember the men and women who have come and gone before us, who have put their lives on the line and sacrificed their lives for the betterment of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Alrighty, Council, I don't think there's any other items of business to come before you this evening. We'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
So moved and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Wayland.
Aye.
Vajezzi.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
Cook. Aye. Katz.
Aye.
Brown Edwards.
Aye.
Moon.
Aye.
Motion carried, meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Alderman Brown Edwards. Appreciate it tonight.
No.